all about?
That would certainly help. I mean,
Yeah.
it was very, very difficult from the point of view that it was the first time I honestly couldn't explain something away, and I think it was the fact that there were two of us.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time for me. I had a completely different process from him, but for me it was more because I've seen stuff my whole life, and I've come to terms with it, and I've decided it's okay, and I talk about it, and you know, I accept that. But for other people who do, and I know that process is terrifying at first, if they could, you know, just have somebody else say, hey, I've been there as well, it was okay. But you had a completely different.
Yeah, it was tricky. I mean, I certainly examined many different variants, and there were other folk who had seen some of the same things in the mountain who were very strongly against the idea of us saying anything. There was a big debate in advance. In fact, you know, about 3 years afterwards, there was kind of a split between those of us who decided that maybe we ought to mention it, because if the gods of old really are amongst us and these things really are happening, it makes sense to say something about it rather than to just pretend it's not really happening, as opposed to a lot of other people who were saying, whatever you do, don't tell anyone, and never breathe a word about it. So there was certainly a tricky part. And yes, it's impossible to tell folk, because people cannot believe you. I mean, I've heard ridiculous stories from my mother, from my best friends, and we naturally dismiss them instantly as being, well, a bit strange, or you know, even when they're people who you really trust. And if someone comes up to you and says they've seen a UFO or they've seen an elf or something, it's virtually impossible to take on board.
I'm going to ask a question very quickly because